PRP hair regeneration, the new innovation that's helping men and women prevent losing their hair. It's now here right in Amarillo, Texas. Hey folks, I'm Dr. Jeff Williams with Creekstone Integrated Medical. I'm coming to you today with a discussion on PRP treatment for hair loss. What's the latest and can it help you? Well, before we get into it too far, I want to encourage you to share this video with your people because some of them are losing their confidence and they're losing their swagger. This information just might help them get it back. So do them a favor, help us get the word out to them by sharing this video. Let's start with a story, okay? I love stories. This is a story of personal experience having to do with the topic of this video. I have a close family friend, a young person, and he happened to be just out of high school. He was on some medication for a certain number of years for ADHD. And unbeknownst to his parents, one of the side effects of this ADHD medication is early hair loss. Well, side effects never happen, right? Well, it turns out that sometimes they do actually happen, and they did in this case. Well, this kiddo started losing his hair fairly quickly, so our friends, his parents, went on the search for some solutions. Their research turned up PRP for hair loss. PRP stands for Platelet-Rich Plasma. So basically, blood is drawn from the patient, it's spun down in the centrifuge, the platelet-rich plasma is extracted from the tube, and the PRP is then reintroduced into the patient's areas of hair loss. Now the parents, they had never heard of PRP for hair loss before, so they dove into the research and they were shocked at how effective the research literature showed the PRP to actually be for hair loss. Now, since the research backed up PRP, well, the next step for our friends was to find a provider that knew how to perform the treatment. Well, they found one down in Dallas, and they started going. That's a long drive, right? But let's go ahead and shorten the story up here. 3 months into it, and their son's hair was growing back. And not just growing back, but the crown that had been kind of shiny bald was now completely filled in, covered and thick with hair again. All through the wonders of PRP. It sounded too good to be true. And if I'm being honest, I thought it was too good to be true. But seeing is believing. So I did what I do and I started jumping into the research myself. And you can do it for yourself if you like. Go to PubMed.com, PubMed, and search for PRP for hair loss. Try all the variations you can think of. Things like PRP hair regeneration, PRP hair loss, PRP hair regrowth, PRP hair rejuvenation. Just start reading some of the conclusions. You don't have to read the whole papers, just the ending part there. It's impressive, y'all. And it's also about time. Effective hair loss treatments for men and women have been searched for way too many years. It seems that at least some answers are starting to be uncovered. Not only that, but when you combine PRP with some of the more traditional means of treating hair loss, well, it's even more effective. Platelets are a component of blood along with red and white blood cells. When a person sustains a cut or a wound, the platelets are some of the body's first responders to the area. They arrive and they stop the bleeding and they promote healing. Well, PRP contains a range of growth factors and proteins that speed tissue repair. As some types of hair loss result from damage to hair follicles, researchers initially hypothesized that PRP could help regrow hair by reversing that process that occurs in androgenetic alopecia. Well, it turns out, based on systematic, high-level research, they were right. It does. And since then, PRP has become a popular method of restoring hair. Doctors have also used PRP to treat injuries to the tendons, muscles, ligaments, and things like that when people sustain injuries through, like, say, sporting activities. With PRP treatment, the expert simply, like I said, draws the blood from the patient, spins it down in a centrifuge, and this process happens right in our office. It only takes us about 10 minutes or so to do this. And then once the parts of the blood separate, the platelet-rich plasma is then extracted and put back into the area of hair loss or complaint. So the PRP helps repair blood vessels, promotes cell growth and wound healing, and stimulates collagen production. It's not just for hair. It's amazing. Physicians have been using PRP therapy for about a decade to speed up the healing process in things like damaged knees, tennis elbow, plantar fasciitis, shoulders, hips, ankles, and things like that. PRP is still being used for joints, neuropathy into the feet and the legs, and back pain. It's just outstanding. We could go on and on. Well, doctors then began using PRP after a certain amount of time in dermatology, when the researchers found that high concentrations of platelets in plasma cells tend to help promote hair growth by prolonging the growing phase of the hair cycle. Now, according to the website for the Cleveland Clinic, in 2014, there was a study where researchers in India looked at men with male pattern baldness who used both approved medications already, but they saw little change in their hair growth. But after 4 PRP treatments, they had about 30% more growth in the thinning areas. Pretty cool stuff. A 2017 study out of Italy also found male patients had increased hair and density in areas where doctors used PRP therapy. They said it takes about 3 months to see an improvement. After that time, most patients, both male and female, have regrown 30% to 40% of the hair they've lost. That's just impressive. And it's straight from the Cleveland Clinic, folks. So even better information. The best part of this whole story is now you no longer need to drive to Dallas like my friends had to for the PRP hair regeneration. Now, you just simply come here and see the experts at Creekstone Integrated Medical for PRP. It's right here in Amarillo, Texas, and it's outstanding. Our PRP hair regeneration program is cutting edge because we've taken the protocols from 3 top practitioners in the Metroplex area, and we've combined them into one to provide you with the most comprehensive, most current, most evidence-based, and most remarkable treatment for hair loss in Amarillo, Texas, or the Texas Panhandle. There are some that probably don't need to have PRP, though. And this is the case with people that have an underlying disorder like thyroid disease or lupus. Those on blood thinners also don't need to undergo PRP. So it should be reasonable to see your hair grow back to what it was approximately 5 years ago. For hair loss that has been much longer than that, well, it may not be as effective. For the right patient, however, it can be game-changing with regard to self-esteem, self-confidence, and being comfortable in one's own skin. Call us today at 355-3000 right here in Amarillo, Texas. Let us help you rebound from unwanted and unwelcome hair loss. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, comment, and share. If you're on Facebook, like, comment, and share. As prevalent as hair loss is in this world, I can promise you at least one in your family or your friends would love you for sharing this information with them. At least one of them. Until next week, take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you then.